When you discovered the law of attraction, you started to believe anything was possible. Life got better, much better. Now you want more, but it's not working. That's where the Manifest It Now show comes in. If you've been waiting for someone who can teach you the practical application to manifest quicker and easier while having more, turn the volume up, because the dynamic duo, Cassie Parks and Ginny Gain, are ready to teach you how to live the law of attraction like they do. It's time to laugh and learn.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Manifest It Now. I am here with Cassie Parks.
And I'm here with Ginny Gain.
And this week, we're going to talk about the N. So we are moving into the now of Manifest It Now. And the N really stands for needing a coach / nuances of are you doing it right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason that needing a coach comes up with this N of this nuance is that we can't teach you all the nuances, and we're going to get into that a little bit, but there's just these subtle things that make a big difference in manifesting because they're a subtle shift in energy, right? And that creates a different outcome.
Yeah. And I think sometimes this is one of the biggest questions that kind of really slows us down when we're manifesting money is like, am I doing it right? And so we're going to talk about how that shows up and how you can kind of move through that a little bit. But first, Cass, what are you excited about?
I am excited just about this, just the amazing first part of the year and just how everything is flowing, and it's felt so good. I've had a new schedule, which has just been amazing. Like we talked last year at some point about like space and creating space, and there's so much space and it feels so good, and I'm writing more and just really stepping into more things that I want to do in that space. So it's been really fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Next level business owner.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm really excited about Lee's transition and how that's continuing, and just the freedom and the joy that's being expressed and felt within both of us, just being able to be so authentic with each other. And it's really created an even deeper place for our relationship and our connection, which was everything I've always wanted, and it just keeps getting better. So that's what I'm excited about.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so what do we think when people are maybe listening to our podcast and they're like, hey, what is it? You have questions around what does it mean to work with a coach? What they think that experience might be like.
Yeah, I think more often people already have this experience in mind than maybe thinking about it. Might be wrong. Maybe there's both. But I think they're often thinking, oh, I get logically everything Jenny and Cassie are saying. A coach is for somebody who doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. And I will, in so many of the things we're going to talk about today, I was so there. Like when I was thinking different areas I've thought about having coaching, I definitely thought, yeah, that's for people that don't understand it. And I'm like, I get it. I know how to do it. And so I totally understand that place. And so what does it traditionally mean? Like, how do people kind of actually, why does that definition not actually serve them?
That it's for people who don't get it. It doesn't serve them because it's great if you get it. It's also great if you're still like, I don't quite get it. Because we can get it logically. Yeah. And even this will come up on calls all the time. I will coach my client and they're like, okay, logically I get that, but I'm going to need to let it settle in, right? I'm going to need to just give space for that to really fully sink in, because logically I get what you're saying, but I have to allow it.
I don't actually know it yet.
Right. Because there's a difference between, there's so many people that can rattle off, how the law of attraction works.
Yes.
But the application of it, right? So just because you know it, you know how it works, whether you know it from the science perspective or the Abraham or all of it, or just what we've all talked about. You're like, oh yeah, I know that. I know what they're going to say. It's that application, applying it to day-to-day life.
It's always been really interesting for me, even at the cruises and the workshops, and just being around different LOA people, even sometimes other coaches, and they sometimes it even follows the words of something around we can we have to focus on what's good, or I'm not using the right statement, but they intellectually know the importance of not talking about what they want. But then they'll be sharing struggles in the business, or I can't get this many clients or these. And I'm like, the application isn't there. The embodiment isn't there. And so there's this like gap created between we know things and we're not necessarily understanding or actually being or living that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just sometimes people think maybe coaches they're there to tell you what to do, but since you already know what to do, then there's no need for a coach.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to apply this to a couple things that
Yeah.
we've talked about, right? So, they might think like, oh, they're just going to say, oh, go make the choice that makes you happy, right? Going back to our M and manifest it now. Really what a coach can do, and this is that nuance subtly, is help you see what the choice is.
Yes.
Right?
So teaching is like, I know what to do, go make the choice. And then a coach adds that next level of like, okay, I can help you see what that right choice might be.
Yeah. Or even, because sometimes
Or
you can't
the
see the choice,
yeah,
right?
the options, yeah.
You get stuck in the story, which doesn't allow you to have a clear this choice or this choice.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't even know what you're choosing, because what can get tied up in that making choices is, if I choose this, this happens.
Yeah.
Right? And so coach can really pull all those pieces apart for you and lay the choices out for you. They've all come from you. You just can't see them because they're kind of like a jumbled yarn mess, right?
I love it when like we ask someone that when I'm coaching, they're like, I never thought of that. I'm like, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that seems so easy. Yeah.
I never thought of that choice.
Yeah.
Right? And so it happens all the time. And that's such a great example, right? Because it's the thing you never thought of that even often, I don't know if this happens to you, but like client might have literally said that, but they can't hear themselves say it.
Yes.
We're like, oh, well, you said this was a choice. And they didn't even hear that come out of their mouth.
Yes, exactly. And so sometimes if you're really wanting to take that, you're manifesting to the next level, if you think that you know what to do, like I already know it, and this is another way that we kind of sabotage ourselves in this, or we're not asking for help really, is because I know it, I should be able to apply it on my own. And I think there's a really big gap there too. I can't tell you how many, I might even say that's been like the majority of my clients is coming with that knowing of like, okay, I know it, I have a good foundation. I know I should know how to do it, but I don't. And then, so they're already set up for the transformation. It's just adding that extra element of coaching that helps make that next step.
Yes.
That next jump. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to add this. It wasn't on our list. I think some people don't go to a coach, or they think they have to have all the questions.
Right.
So if I don't, and often people don't know what the question, like, oh, I have to have this list of questions I need help with.
Right.
In order to go to a coach, right?
Yeah. To know, because you're still kind of trying to guide or plan your own growth path.
Yeah.
And you don't need to know what all those things.
Right.
Yeah, you just need to know you want more. Yeah. You want something different.
Yeah, and you're willing to show up for that, right? And one of the things is thinking you have to do all the work. That's kind of falls into that. You do the work as the client, but you want to, if this conversation leads you like, oh, I should look into a coach. I would suggest looking for someone who has a program with coaching.
Yeah.
Because then that tells you what to do. You're knowing how to apply it without thinking about it. And then when you're applying, that's when the questions come up.
Yes.
And that's when the opportunity to coach and go deeper comes up. If you give an answer and your coach can see it and like, oh, did you really mean this or this? Because I know you want this in your life.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting goosebumps. That's like my favorite part, when it's like, even sometimes on the first call, there's all these questions and then, but we save them, and then as they start to apply, you hear them talking, and then they're like, okay, now this, and then okay, yes, this is what I want to hear. Like guys, we love it. Okay, so If you were to define, Cass, give a definition to this, like what a coach is, what would you say?
I might. The person who guides or facilitates you higher up the mountain. Like they can see things, like where that next foothold on the mountain is, right? They can say like, put your hand up 3 inches. And that's where it is. And it's the things that you can't see. They can see where you need to let go, and they anchor you where you need to be going, you know, just in case you fail in that. Like they're there to, oh, I got the rope, like we're here. So that's very
they're your belayer.
Yeah. Yeah. But just really that person that can help guide or facilitate you to the higher level of creating what you want.
Yeah.
How about you?
I would say it's someone who, I mean, I agree with everything you said, and it's someone who helps you tune into your own inner guidance. Like, what is this? Let's get the greatest place of your guidance comes from inside. Like, you know what's best for you. So your coach can help you see through all those limitations, your conditioning, and this is like holds the space for you.
Yes.
Like, I think this is the most powerful thing. And sometimes as a coach, when I see how powerful this is for my clients, like sometimes I don't even realize I do it. Like I know I'm doing it, but they're like, wow, I couldn't have known that or got that or stepped into that without you there. And part of me is like, I didn't do anything, but I realize like, yes, I know their success. And so holding that space, even though it's nothing like physical or tangible, it is very, very real. I've experienced on both sides too.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think combining our definitions is the ultimate like that's really what coaching is. It's that space.
Yeah.
It's that guidance.
Seeing the next level. Yeah.
And teaching you to tap into your inner guidance to get to that next, right? So in the beginning, a coach is really like, okay, do this with your hand, do that. Like if we're going back to that, you know, mountain climbing. But by the end, you're intuitively taking those steps.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think, Cass? Like I'm someone who coaches, like I don't want to be your coach forever. I might want to be your friend forever. But like I want to help you get to that place where you're doing most of it on your own, I would say. So I do still think throughout our whole life, it's always good to have a coach role in your life, but it's not going to be as consistent or as much work as when we get started.
Yeah, I am that. I want to teach along the journey.
Yeah.
Like how you become, do these things for yourself and see them. And yes, there's still going to be times when you can't see the forest for the trees. So I just count like, that's when your coach becomes your insurance.
Yeah.
How like, oh, I'm like got spun up in this and I need to come like.
Your coach is your insurance policy.
Yeah, like, oh, I need to come get that attention. But really, and I want my clients to step into the next level of understanding because then I can teach them more.
Yep.
I can guide them deeper, right? If once they learn to do a certain part on their own, then we get to go deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah. And you get to see that evolution. So in terms of you guys applying this right now, we want you to just pull out when you have an opportunity, write down, have you ever had a coach in anything in your life? So we just want to like bring some awareness to that experience for you and broaden this. It doesn't have to be in money related. It could be in sports. It could be in learning something like basketball coach, soccer coach, learning something. What are some other examples, Cass?
In your job, it could look like a mentor. It could look like just, I mean, really, there's so many coaching opportunity. I'm just thinking like even when you go to like a new volunteer, right? Like at the food bank, the person who's been there before is like, oh, fold the box this way instead of this way, it'll save you time.
Yeah.
Right? Or do this way so once you've lifted these like 50-pound boxes for 4 hours, you're not so sore.
Yeah.
You know, that's coaching. It's the things where they can see maybe you don't even have a clue. You know what to do, right? Using the food bank example. Okay, we're just putting the food in the box and passing it on. But there's ways to even up-level that.
Make it more efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember as a kind of example with money with this is I was actually the coach. So my brother is my financial coach, basically, which I'm so grateful for. And when I was saving money and putting a certain percentage of money away for so many years, and then I started working with him, and this is a little opposite. Like, I actually had the perspective that, like, I wasn't doing enough, this wasn't good enough, like I should be saving more. And then he's looking at my finances and everything that's happening. He's like, oh, this is amazing. You're saving plenty, and this is all going to this, and this is how it'll affect this. And so I didn't have that perspective. I didn't have that knowledge, even though I thought I knew what to do and I was doing it. He had a bigger space. He had more understanding of the bigger picture and how the small things fit in. And just accepting his knowing, I was able to totally switch my experience with what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another, I don't know if I have a money one, but when I was doing improv, I was going through improv training. We had learned this one technique for like moving and emoting, like adding to the emotion of what you were doing, right? And a couple teachers later, our coach had stepped into more of a coach role because we were going into performance. And he's like, I know you don't know you're doing this, but you're just basically dancing around the stage. And I was like, oh, like I really thought I was doing the thing. I was trying really hard to up-level my game, but I wasn't nailing it. And if he doesn't point that out, I think I'm doing it right forever. It's not coming across on stage right. And I never have because he said that and I had a coach, I have the opportunity to, okay, like go look at that technique again or ask him for help. Okay, how would you do this? How can I do it better, right?
I find this too in helping people coach a lot on like their communication and how they're communicating. It's like, oh, I thought I was saying this. And I'm like, you're actually, the only thing I feel from you is this.
Yes.
And that's like, comes up a lot in the work we do, the energy stuff we do. What about, do you have any, we want to share some more stories.
Yeah.
So we actually both have a story with the same coach we worked with to write our book. And it was very powerful for me. So Angela was so amazing at holding the space for me, at what was possible for business. Like I was pretty still brand new. I had been coaching for a couple of years, but I hadn't really been owning the level of success I could be having, especially financially. Go ahead.
Had you even thought of it?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I
mean, not in that way. It was more like I wanted to have a thriving business, but I didn't think about anything in between. Or I didn't even think that I wasn't owning it, basically.
Right.
I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I just knew I was like loved what I was doing. And then writing the book with her was so inspired. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about it. But anyway, so when she was presenting these ideas she helped me create the new structure for Skills Camp and really up-level that pricing. And she was able to hold the space for me to charge, over $1,000. And it was so easy and it was so normal for her. And I never would have made that decision on my own, or it probably would have taken me years to get there. And so I just basically, when she gave me the options, okay, it can be from $1,000 to $3,000. And then I got to choose what felt greatest alignment for me, which was like $1,000. And that came from her holding that space, which I would not have been able to do on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I totally get that because I could have a very similar story with that space as well. But I know I wasn't even really aware that was a possibility. And she's like, you could do this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Right.
Yes.
And so it wasn't telling, it was just like seeing really what was already possible, but that I hadn't seen yet. You hadn't seen yet.
Yeah. Hey, this is an option. This is a possibility. Yeah. Really easy possibility.
Right.
Really possible. Yeah.
And the other really quick, I want to tell this one too with her for coaching was really about keeping me on track, because I had an idea and, now I'm further and it was the money chaser and me coming back up because things were good. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I have all of this content I've created for this other thing that is kind of opposite what I'm teaching right now. I could just put it together and I could make money and I could do this. And she's like, choose like where you're putting your energy. And so really to bring it back to, what do you want? Like, do you want to create this other thing, or do you want to build this thing that's already building? You know, and just catching that, I was, even though she didn't know Money Chase, she was catching that energy that I was in, so I could choose to come back to what I really want.
Yeah, and before we started recording, we were talking about how the action is not right or wrong, but it's the energy behind the action. And it is that's what a coach can catch. That's what Angela caught with you, is like, what's that energy's coming from? I don't know, you know? So just to even highlight so that you can make a choice.
Yes.
Yeah. And when we have someone doing that for us at the beginning, it allows us to then develop that awareness ourselves.
Yeah.
Because now you can catch it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I see it.
Yeah, you see it.
All right. So you guys have written down, that should give you lots of examples that you can find a time in your life where you had a coach, and think about how that impacted, you know, how far you got, or how fast you did something, or how easy it was. And then we want you to write down, you know, what, instead of a definition of coaching, which you can write down if you want, but what would be amazing about having a coach? We're not saying you have to go hire it today. Just open. Is there any space? Is there anything that would feel amazing about having a coach?
I love that question.
Yeah.
And so sometimes bringing an awareness to, if you're paying attention in your life, like where this is happening, is, I guarantee, you know, you guys have been you've observed someone else kind of spinning or stuck in their own pattern, and so just think about a time in your life where you could see what was happening in other people's lives, but they couldn't see it, right? So then you realize, like, okay, yeah, that's where a coach would help. Not a best friend, not a partner. That is not those people's jobs.
Yep, not their role.
Not their role. Yeah, but that's where a coach would be able to help with that. Okay, that's where, to just help bring that awareness to that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And so then this week, you're going to set an alarm for just once a day. And as you move through the week, living the law of attraction, all the things that which are intuitively coming up, right? Living is different than the doing of the assignments. So as you've shifted and changed and you're going about living the law of attraction this week, notice, and living the law of attraction, especially in terms of manifesting money, right? You're living into manifesting money. Notice if you are questioning if you're doing it right at all. Ask how it would feel to have an anchor, a knowing, to have your questions immediately answered, to have certainty. And again, set this timer. And I also we want you to write down, like, each day, how confident are you in your money manifesting? Just a number 1 to 10, and just write it down. It's just information. Yeah. Right. And just write that down, and it's just to see what's coming up with this stuff.
Yeah. I like this. And I think sometimes we don't realize how much we question ourselves. And so that's one of the ways, like we were saying at the very beginning, that gets in the way of us actually making this journey easy and smooth and moving forward.
Because that's one of those nuanced things, right? If we're questioning every step we make, even a little,
we're not in our power.
Right. And we're not manifesting to our fullest potential. Even though we might be doing the things technically right, if there's still that nuance of questioning, am I doing it right? Am I doing enough? Am I whatever? Yeah, it's going to impact that.
Yeah. And then we're going to leave you with our most powerful affirmation about this, is that I know there is more for me and I am open to it.
Yes, I know there is more for me and I am open to it.
And then this week in our bonus episodes, so Cassie and I also both hired the same coach in another area, and we are going to talk about a little bit more about that experience and how that was so powerful for us.
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next week. Hey, it's Ginny. Cass and I talk a lot about alignment being essential to manifesting. So if you're curious how to measure your own level of alignment, I created a quiz for you. Pop over to my website at ginnygane.com. That's GINNYGANE.com and check it out. Oh, and definitely have fun with it.
Go be awesome!
Thank you for joining us on the Manifest It Now show, where you learn how to leverage the law of attraction to manifest your dreams. Now that you're inspired, share the love and review us on iTunes. While you're there, remember to subscribe.